restaurant on the edge of Chinatown called
Jacob Wirth.
Jacob Wirth,
Yep.
Wirth. If
Yeah.
you go down to, this is next intersection after this traffic light is Stewart Street. You take a left.
It's right on the left. Right?
It's the oldest German restaurant in the country,
Yeah,
actually.
as a matter of fact, I get
their
a-
clam chowder is murder.
I get a lot
It
of
really
German
is.
clients.
They won #1 in Boston,
Yeah,
repeatedly.
I've had German passengers that I've directed there. So if you're missing your home cooking, that's where you want to go.
If you want to get a ticket to a show same day, to the right of Faneuil Hall, that's where you're looking at Sam Adams statue, there's a little kiosk, Arts Boston, A-R-T, I can't say that letter, A-R-T-S. You can buy same day tickets for half price. Not bad. If you want to see Blue Man Group or Sam Adams, or whatever's playing in town.
And this building here, by the way, this pretty blue and gold, that's the Grand Lodge of Masons. That's the very first Masons Lodge. Many of our founding fathers, the Sons of Liberty, were Masons. Whoa, what's that woman? She's not
Yeah,
even
she
looking.
better look.
I can't believe
I had her all the way.
It blows my mind.
And straight ahead, as we turn onto Charles Street was the Charles River.
To the right, folks, there's a little burrito place, once the home of Edgar Allan Poe.
Left side.
If you look to the left, you'll also see a great statue of Edgar with the raven in tow.
Yes. Do it. Go
During
ahead.
the whole of a dull, dark, and soundless day in the autumn of the year, when the clouds hung oppressively low in the heavens, I had been passing alone on horseback through a singularly dreary tract. And there's been 4 presidents from Massachusetts. Does anybody know who they are? I've mentioned 2 already. John F. Kennedy, John Adams. He had a son, John Quincy Adams, and another president who also had a son that was president.
Born in Milton, 10 miles from here.
Republican, still alive.
Likes to skydive on his birthday. George Bush Sr.
You got it,
He was
George
born
Bush.
here. Grew up in Connecticut mostly, but born here in Milton.
The statue hidden behind the trees is of John Hancock, who donated this land to Boston. And if you look coming down the stairs, the statue of John F. Kennedy, our 35th president, still much beloved and in many people's eyes considered the greatest president of all time. We're getting a little example of Boston traffic, folks, now that it's after Labor Day.
Yeah, they're doing construction. I forgot they were doing construction on the street that turns the corner.
That's the thing. People don't
We'll get
realize,
by.
you know, people think that New England has 4 seasons, winter, springs, fall, and summer, but I think there's only 2 here in Boston, and that's snow and construction.
Yeah.
And if you've spent any time on the roadways here in the Boston area, you probably realize we're rather aggressive drivers. We have a reputation, I think, as being, I heard it on the news, like one of the top, maybe the worst in the whole country.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when they passed that law, it's okay to go right on red. Bostonians were like, yeah, what's the big deal? We already go left on red.
The front door of the State House only opens for president or a leaving governor, heads of state, things like that. If you want to go into the State House, there are free tours. The general public has to go in through the Hooker entrance.
Wow. We'll let you make it your own.
Behind the trees, you can't really see it from here, but on that granite pedestal, if you can make it out, well, you'll see it as we go by. There's a statue of General Joseph Hooker. During the Civil War, he was not noted for his leadership, but what he was known for was letting a large troop of women follow his soldiers all around. They became known as Hooker's Girls, and I think you can kind of do the math on the rest.
So that's where that came from, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
To the right, a little bit behind us, the statue to the Massachusetts 54th. If you saw the movie Glory with Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, the first black regiment to serve during the Civil War. It was an all-volunteer regiment, by the way. Colonel Robert Gould Shaw was portrayed by Matthew Broderick, who happens to be a direct descendant of him. Here's the Hooker entrance right here.
I would like to have that kind of a legacy.
And then to the left here, little Mary Dyer. Tell them about Mary.
Mary Dyer was, she was the last woman to get hung by the Puritans on the Common for her Quaker values in front of her children, mind you. Can you imagine that? How insensitive are these people? Now, that's what gets me about the Puritans. They left England because they wanted to escape persecution, but they brought a lot of their baggage with them. You know, they were very religious people, but they weren't very tolerant of other people's religions. Something you see in even today's society, you know, which is You think that we would learn from history, perhaps? I don't know. We're actually going on. This is the north side of Raymond. That's in honor of those who that battled the blazes and lost their lives and were injured during 9/11.
I was going to say the top of the beacon pole here to the left. This is actually called the Bulfinch column for Charles Bulfinch, who designed a lot of the buildings up here, including the State House and the Rotunda in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Charles Bulfinch. America's really his first, America's first real established architect. But the top of the monument here, the column, represents the original height of Beacon Hill before they started chopping some of it down.
It was that high, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and it spanned this whole area.
The Puritans were very paranoid of pirates coming in or potentially Native American uprisings, so what they did, there was a tall tree that was stripped of its branches and bark. They would cover it with tar and pitch. They would light it on fire as a beacon, a signal for everybody to come together to form a defense. That's how Beacon Hill got its name. Very literal, you know, not to develop as, you know, Tony little nickname. Beacon Hill, there was a beacon on the hill. The north slope of Beacon Hill, this is where the poorer people lived back in colonial times. But Beacon Hill in general, Senator, I should say Secretary of State John Kerry lives here with Teresa.
Yeah, wasn't that story about how when she first moved into the building, she wasn't happy about the fact that there was a fire hydrant or something in front of her building, and
3 days later?
Yeah, it was gone. It must be good to be king, eh?
I heard that they did pave to have it moved though.
No, yeah, that was looking forward to see it.
Black
too.
Mass with Johnny Depp.
They
The
shot
reviews,
that.
I've read some reviews on it that said he does an unbelievable job.
Yeah, he's just a great actor. And if you don't know about Whitey Bulger, tell him a little bit about him. He's quite a character.
Yeah, he from the 70s well into the 90s, he ran the crime scene. He had FBI employees working for him.
Wow.
He was convicted of 13 of the 19 murders he was accused of. Not a nice man. They caught him in Southern California after he was hiding from the FBI for like 15 years.
And number one on the wanted list.
Yeah.
Right? Wow.
What did they find in his apartment? $800,000 in cash. 30 weapons, half of them automatic weapons.
Unbelievable.
He used to hang around at a Boston-themed sports bar. The bartenders knew him really well. He called himself Charlie. They used to joke with him all the time, "Oh, Charlie, you look like that guy from Boston the FBI's looking for." He says, "Oh yeah, I get that all the time."
That's wild.
What a guy.
Yeah, you know, they sentenced him at the Berkeley courthouse. We'll see that from the water. And he got 2 life sentences plus.
Wow. It was the biggest robbery in the 20th century. They got out of there with almost $3 million in cash and non-negotiable securities.
Unbelievable, right? What happened? They get away with it?
They would have got away with it. The statute of limitations was about to expire, and about a week or two before, one of the criminals who thought he was being cheated out of his money, not to mention there were a couple of attempts on his life, Specs O'Keefe, he turned everybody into the FBI,
Wow.
who had already spent millions of dollars trying to solve the crime.
Wow, unbelievable.
Specs got a light sentence. He ended up serving as a consultant in the making of the movie.
No, I actually. Now let me ask you this: because you guys remember Goodfellas, right? Because it was that the biggest robbery up until the Lufthansa thing, pretty much. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right here in Boston, because at one time Charlestown, by the way, it was considered the bank robbery capital of the world. That's what the town was based on, folks. When that shipyard closed, way back in the 70s, a lot of people were out of work. They turned to a life of crime. It was said that if you were a guy in Charlestown, you were either in jail, awaiting trial, or out robbing banks, correct?
Yeah. In the 60s, a monkey escaped inside the building. The circus was in town. They couldn't find it. The circus leaves.
Pleasure to work with this guy. I got to tell you, I don't learn from all of them, but I learn from him. He's got a great knowledge of the history.
Over here to the left, there's a ship unloading salt from Chile. Yeah, Boston, we have 300,000 college students in the city of Boston, prompting us up to the position where we have the highest per capita consumption of margaritas in North America. And, of course, it's really from melting snow on the streets. This pile will double in size, at least, and it'll extend almost all the way to the bridge before winter begins. In early November, it's like a caravan of big trucks coming in from all over New England. It's a big part of the budgets for towns in New England, sand and salt to treat the roads. Comes in from Chile in South America. Chile.